It's time for your number one NAIA men's basketball podcast to begin, as the Road to Muni podcast with Junior and Coach Lubbers begins now.
Hello, NAIA Hoops Nation, and welcome to another episode of the Road to Muni podcast. I am Junior, and I'm usually, or as usual, I am here with my co-host, Coach Kevin Lubbers. And Coach, I know you've been or I know you've been on the radio most of the day. It sounds like with some football, but I'm glad to have you back doing the probably carrying this episode. I hope you had your shoulders aren't hurting already from carrying football as well, because I need you to carry another episode here, but hopefully you had a good week. I know you guys got a lot of snow out there, and I got to watch a lot of NAIA basketball as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it just reminded me when I do the radio for those football games that I really enjoy the sport I coach, which is 72 and sunny all the time, right? So it's nice to be indoors talking hoops, and the sun did come out a little bit today, and the local high school here, shout out Buena Vista Demons, got the win in the first round, so onward to round two for them. But yeah, that's a fun little hobby of mine. But hoops as well, man. We're really rolling, and D1 all the way through the NAIA, and we've been going for a few weeks, and some good games, and I caught the end of a pretty good overtime game the other day, and couple others this week that I'm sure we'll talk about as we wade through here.
Yeah, and I know we have started doing a live show as well, and I know we'll get you looped in there too. I joked around a little bit yesterday that you're kind of a jack of all trades, so with a lot of things you're going, but we'll get you looped in onto the live show. But on the live show, and I wanted to reiterate this as we jumped into some of the schedule coming up, or the schedule that happened this past week here. As we saw some top 25 teams get beat again this week, and we have a new top 25 coming out on Wednesday. First and foremost, the top 25 is a fun thing for fans, and obviously good recognition for people, but I do want to reemphasize the fact that the top 25 this season is not going to play a fact into the postseason play. So while it will be fun to look at, we will have later on this, as we are taping this on Sunday, and I obviously post these on Monday. Our top 25 will be obviously out by the time of this post, but then the official NAIA polls will be out on Wednesday as well. But just wanted to make sure we put out that point too, that the NAIA polls this year have no weight into that. But then again, I wanted to point out too that with some of the upsets going on this week, that happened and stuff, and people have been asking again with been watching games, and there was a certain top 10 coach who's been missing on the sidelines, and Scott Moore over at Grayson, just wanted to again talk about, or just to give him a shout out and tell him that we're thinking about him, and just wishing him a speedy recovery, and for everybody out there, just say a quick prayer for Coach, and I know he'll be back here in a couple weeks. And but Grace did recover from losing two, and then got a big win against Madonna on the road, and I know that they'll be excited coming back off that one. And then all the way across the board, Coach, we saw some really good games again throughout the week. Not just top 25 games, but I thought sometimes we talk about this, I think, a lot, but sometimes the top 25 matchups don't even live up to the hype. I thought that game, Madonna Grace, lived up to the hype. I thought even LSU Alexandria Free Hardman lived up to the hype. Number 4, number 12, and the defending national champs were at home, and LSU Alexandria, a team that we've talked quite a bit about, went on the road and got the win there too, and they're playing some great basketball to start the year. And they're a team that certainly, if you haven't been paying attention, you may want to start paying attention to the Generals of LSU Alexandria.
Yeah, no doubt there, no doubt. And a lot of good stuff. And you won't see, speaking of the polls, you won't, I don't think you'll see big overreaction, right? There's typically not a big overreaction, but there is a reaction to some of the early season outcomes, and some up, some down, and that'll continue to take shape. It is a fun food for conversation, whatever else. And yeah, like you said, shout out to Coach Moore. Health, nothing more important than health, and hope to see him back doing his thing soon, but really good friend. And so thoughts and prayers for him and his family and his health. And Overall, yeah, big week, and it's fun to start thinking about conference play starting up here soon, and just the transition into that world, and some of these larger conferences that the bulk of the season is conference play. So there were some decent cross conference matchups this past weekend too, which was fun to see. Mobile, I think, went down to Southeastern and picked up 2 wins there, beating Ave and Southeastern. So for them, that was good to see. Our Lady of the Lakes had a good showing down there as well, as they're getting up to 4-0. That was the overtime game I was referencing. I watched that one last night. Had that going in the corner of my eye. So, but yeah, so many good matchups and a lot of close games, and some fun early season stuff.
Yeah, and Coach Archie is a guy that we had on last year, and they're over at Mobile, and they're Mobile, and there's a team that they were a veteran group last year, and floated around in top 25 for most of the year. Had a Division I win last year, and I thought they were a team that looked good for most of the year, and just kind of for whatever reason and just couldn't quite figure it out late. And Ezra McKenna, I'm an All-American for them, is back, and he was a kid that kind of flirted with the transfer portal last year, and good to see him back and playing in some good basketball. I'm sure Coach Archie's obviously excited to have him back as well. And like you said, they've got picked up some good wins, not just this week, but they've been playing some good basketball throughout the early part of the season. Again, I know as not to sneak peek into conference play, as we're going to have obviously 10 of 21 leagues starting off league play already this next week. But when you're talking about league play, the Southern States Athletic Conference is part of those 10 leagues, and the Rams are when you talk about 2 heavyweights in the Southern States Athletic Conference, 2 teams that were picked at the top of that league are going to be facing off right away. So.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say that. And one of the series that as a fan favorite this year is our 5 to watch that we've been kicking off on TikTok. It's been pretty popular. I don't know that one will be there, but you may want to stay tuned for that one later on here in a couple, or here tomorrow, later on today when you see that come out, because imagine that one may make the list. I think you want to talk about some leagues who have had some good showings, whether you want to talk about even through winning, but even through some what I would call some good losses. I don't know if any coach would agree with me with good losses, but some competitive losses anyway. I think the in some good showings, I thought that the Corbin, I thought that they really battled and has had some good showings. But I think that the Cascade, the 3 favorites in the league, have started off well. I know Oregon Tech had a tough loss early to Carroll, but they look good. Obviously, Lois Clark State has looked good. It really had a tough battle the other night against a good Dickinson State team, but escaped. I'll tell you right now, I think Alden Hamilton, he was a freshman last year, 6'8". He's a kid to circle. He's a sophomore right now, and putting up about a double-double every night. Really, really like that kid. And then obviously College of Idaho, who's been a College of Idaho number 2 in the country right now, and won a national title 2 years ago, and certainly looked part again this year. They're a well-oiled machine, and they've been playing at home, and when they're at home, they don't lose it very often at home, and they've been pretty good. And but the Cascades look good. I think that you just talked about LSU Alexandria. I think that if you look at Our Lady Lake, who you mentioned Southeastern Conference or Southeastern University Classic, they won it down there and won 2 big games as well. That Red River Athletic Conference has had a good start to the year as well, and then the Sooner Athletic, with you had Oklahoma City, who has knocked off Oklahoma Wesleyan, and a few other of those teams in the SAC who have had big wins early. Leagues have had, those 3 leagues in particular have had good starts to the league or start to the year. And, now, some of those leagues are going to start league play this year, or this week. So, it's going to be fun to kind of watch the actual conference play too. But to get some big non-conference wins for some of those leagues too is very important this time of year.
No, for sure. And, a lot of the leagues, you kind of see the usual suspects, right? As you look at the top, who's
Yep.
still undefeated, things like that. So there's a lot of usual suspects there, but it'll be very interesting, I think, as conference play begins to unfold. And like you said, there's some new faces out there that are performing, and some kids that were freshmen last year that are now stepping up, or some transfers and things like that. There's some pretty cool individual performers going on right now too.
Yeah, and you talking about individual performers, and just going off what you just said about common names at the top. I mean, we may have lost a lot of key names as far as all American stuff go, but we got a lot of popular names or just common names at the top of all of our individual leaders too. I mean, got Deshaun Moreau or from Lords, who's been there. You got Joey Scott from Morningside, Gabe Newhoff, who's Spring Arbor. All at the top. You got Vincent Miscavige, who was a first-team All-American at Kaiser, who led the country in rebounding last year. He's currently leading the country in rebounding right now. I talked about Alton Hamilton, who had a big-time year last year as a freshman, freshman of the year in the Cascade last year. He's top 5 in rebounding right now. Josh Gibson that was an All-American last year and was a double-double machine. He's currently top 5. Got guys all the way across the board here, individuals all across the board who put up big numbers last year, and they're currently 2 and 3 games are on pace to are currently where they left off last year, and it's just cool to see a lot of the same names, but also cool to see a lot of new names too. I know you're not on social media, but I tweeted out yesterday, or tweeted out earlier this morning, down in the HBCU Classic, Langston, put out or played yesterday, and Mike Peake, who is a big time transfer for them, he played in his first game over the weekend, and he's a National Player of the Year candidate, and wasted no time leading them in scoring over the weekend. So some of these new faces are starting to pop up too. So it's really cool, and we mentioned on the live as well yesterday. It's just kind of cool to see some of these new names starting to, whether it be freshmen or sophomores who maybe averaged 1 or 2 points per game last year and are now playing bigger roles and starting to make names for themselves, or even some of these transfers that are making names for themselves. It's kind of cool to see them starting to, or see these people starting to pop off.
Yeah. And then conference play, as that gets going, I mean, that's a different level too, right? And sometimes some of these guys are doing this against, high quality competition, and some of the numbers can be a little bit deceiving right now at this time of year, because they're potentially playing some teams that are a little bit less caliber than what they'll see in conference play for sure. But, but conference play is a different animal, and everything's a little trickier there. So it'll be, you certainly learn pretty quickly who's actually who, right? Because you can't run from your conference schedule. So
what Coach is saying is that not everybody's 2-0 or 3-0 is the same exact 0-2-0. So
it is not. That's right. Some teams are. There's, what coach was it the other day we had on, and he talked about not wanting to have a false identity, right? And it's like, it's so true, because you can schedule 5-0, and you could feel really good about yourself, and we're 5-0 and way to go, and oops, you haven't played anybody, and then you play somebody good and you get housed a little bit, and you figure out who you actually are. So sometimes this early season stuff is a little bit of a mirage. We are seeing better scheduling, right? Which is good. We're seeing a lot of good games, a lot of good teams playing good teams and that kind of thing. But I still look up some box scores and see some things that make me go, okay, well, that doesn't mean much to me. So it is what it is, but you got to figure out who you are too. And it doesn't hurt to win, but you're not figuring much out when you're winning by 60. So it'll be good to see conference play get tipped off and see you can't run from that conference schedule. It's going to find you. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about it too, because I did actually, I think I did. I don't know how many teams I've actually officially watched. I should probably count that up too. But weirdly enough, because most times I have 3, sometimes 4 screens going. Right now I have currently, if you count my recording screen, I have my 2 computer monitors up, and then my phone is actually recording. And then my screen is actually, which I actually have to apologize to Coach Barsh if he's actually going to watch this, because I know. First and foremost, great episode with him. A lot of great nuggets yesterday on our live. If anybody's watching this and hasn't watched it, you need to go back and watch it. But I do apologize to him, because I am afraid that I told him we were rooting for him to win a national title and maybe jinxed him, because I'm currently got his game up right now, and they're tied with Arizona State right now, late in the second half. Early on in the year, I know, far from winning a national title, but hopefully I didn't jinx him on losing the game. But
It's all your fault, Junior, if
I
they
know.
lose, for
I will
sure.
take the blame if they lose this game. I'm sorry, Coach, if you lose this one, but no. But I do want to. I
Hey,
do want to.
by the way, on that, you're recording that, and it reminded me because it was during the Houston game, and Kelvin Sampson, another NAI guy,
Yep. Yep.
right? I mean, Montana Tech, I think that court's named after him, right? But
Yep. It is.
just, if you really listen and you pay attention, there's a lot of NAI guys out there at a pretty high level. So, I mean, you got, two of the better teams in the country, Gonzaga and Houston, and they got NAI, Barsh as an assistant and Calvin Sampson
Yep.
as a head coach. Yeah, man, that's cool to see. So,
Yep. Yeah, and well, it's if you and we didn't talk about Coach Sampson, but it's very very cool how many people have gotten their careers started at the NEI level, and we talked about everybody's past a little bit different, every player's past a little bit different too, but so many awesome stories about just where how NEI is just intertwined with so many different people in their career path, and it's just cool to see. It's really fun. And I know Coach Barsh was at Southeastern, and you've been at Southeastern too, and it's just fun. It's very very cool, and and we talked about Nick Nurse too. Nick Nurse is a guy that started at 23, got his first job, and Coach Barsh talked about that too. He was first. Probably no other level was going to give him an opportunity at his age at 26, first time head coach. Just cool. NEI gives you opportunities sometimes to chase a dream, and it's very very cool to see that. And some guys stay coach or get a head coaching job and stay here for 20, 30, 40 years, and other guys use it as a stepping stool, and that's cool too. I mean, if it's a opportunity to grow and chase your dreams, go do it. So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So, but with that, Coach, I know we'll turn the page into these 10. Well, one, I want to preface this fact that I know we do have 10 to 20 or 10 leagues starting league play up this week, but we do have a lot of great non-conference games as well. I don't want to completely turn the page into conference play. I know we get excited about it, and there are a lot of great conference games as well this week, but and I'll run through. I mean, on Tuesday, the Red River Athletic Conference play starts up. Wednesday, we have the AAC and the Heart start up. Thursday, we're going to have the Southern States Athletic Conference and the Sooners start up. And then Saturday, we have the Sun, HBCU, KCAC, GPAC, and CCAC all starting up. So, and there'll be a lot more conference games all throughout the week. And then we have, like I said, we have a lot of great non-conference games too, so don't get that lost in the mix. I just want to make sure we hit on that. There's great games all week long. A lot of big leagues now. And we're going to see even more bigger leagues next year as we have some more mergers happening. But it's like you said earlier, Coach, conference play is where it's at because, as great as the non-conference games are, the league play is kind of where you start. And a lot of league play is most of the time where the auto bids come from. So, when you're talking about tournament play and you're talking about postseason play, it doesn't really matter what happens in the non-conference play for a lot of these teams. If you want the best chance to make the tournament, go win a league. And most of these bigger leagues have two bids. That's where that kind of, and we'll get into where those two bids come from, because every league's shaped a little bit different on the auto bids too. But the easiest way to the tournament is usually winning the league. So
yeah, win the league. Next best way is win that league tournament, and then everybody else is hanging around for those at-large bids, which have, a lot more teams are getting in, right? Than when you flash back to when we had, just 32 with the 64 teams getting in. I think typically most leagues are getting more than just their auto bids, but some don't. But most leagues are getting a few in beyond that. But yeah, if you want to control your own destiny, that's a good way to do it.
Yep. And so I will start if you want on some of the big leagues, or sorry, the big games that I have circled this week, and I won't give out, maybe not. I'll give away some of the games that I have on our 5 to watch too, but I won't tell you which ones are which. But I know that a lot of people like that series, so I don't want to spoil all the fun. But I really do. I'm really excited for a lot of games. Obviously, more than 5 games to watch this week. But on Tuesday, November 12th, excited for a Marion Indiana Tech game. Marion's going to head to Indiana Tech. I know Marion played today on Sunday. Played a very good game against St. Francis, Illinois. St. Francis, Illinois is a team out of CCAC who return a lot of guys back from injury from last year. I know they were a team that was pretty banged up, and so ended up winning 78-71. But Indiana Tech's the same way. They're a team that was really banged up last year. They're fully healthy. They've been playing some good basketball out of the coming out of the Crossroads League WAC Challenge, and then so I think that Marion Indiana Tech game is one that I like a lot on Tuesday. Coming down the list a little bit, I like. There's some conference games early on on Tuesday, obviously, like we talked about. But I'm going to go back to a Wednesday game. William Woods, we talked to Coach Capel as well on the live show from Evangel. And I know, and we haven't talked about it yet, but Steve Jenkins, a Hall of Fame coach at Evangel who passed away earlier this week. Evangel is going to take their home court first time on Steve Jenkins' court since his passing. And they got a big matchup with William Woods, who's playing some good basketball as well. So I believe both are undefeated as well. So going to be a really good matchup in that one. Non-conference game, but a really fun one on Wednesday. Should be a great game. And then Huntington at Madonna is going to be a fun one as well. We'll see if Madonna, after losing 2 games, can hold on to a top 25 ranking on Wednesday. That game will be on Wednesday. The top 25 polls come out on Wednesday. As of right now, it's a top 25 matchup. We'll see if it is when that comes out. But I do think that Huntington at Madonna coming off of 2 losses, but then rarely or randomly, I mean, it's just two home losses too. So. They'll be chomping at the bit, I think, to make sure they don't lose a third one in a row at home. Those will be the 3 that I'll go off of right now. I have a lot more that I like, and you'll see some of those here later on in another segment.
Yeah. They that couple other ones that are somewhat interesting. Central Baptist and Freed Hardman, right? That's on Thursday. I think that's a
rematch of the tournament.
Yeah. So that's one that's kind of really caught my eye, and there's some, who's the other one I was looking at with, oh shoot, I just lost my train of thought there. You can edit that out. Our Lady of the Lake, Xavier, Louisiana is one that I have some intrigue in on Thursday. On Thursday, that's kind of where my eye goes. And then that Mobile, even Loyola, like just all those kind of games, like they're just intriguing games. They're not always the best in the league versus the worst in the league or something like that, these middle level ones, but they're kind of these opening jockeying, positioning games, and even just big non-conference matchups too. So those are some of the ones that jumped out for me. So
yeah, and I'll feed off that one a little bit too, because Loyola is a team that we talked about. Not all 3-0 teams are the same.
yeah,
not all. And I don't have Loyola's record in front of me right now, but not all 0-3 teams are the same either. I don't really know what Loyola's team record is, but I think it's like 0-3 or 1-3 maybe. But they have played some really good teams, and they traveled out to California this weekend, and they played Masters really good. And then I know that the second night against Hope International wasn't as close, but they're a team that won the Southern States Athletic Conference tournament last year. Returned a lot of players. They just haven't really come out of the gates this year, but they've played at maybe as tough of a schedule as anybody.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I know that they haven't gotten the results that maybe they've been wanting. But when I say that, coming now into Southern States Athletic Conference play, that can change in a hurry. So that's just, I just want to make sure I preface that that we talk about 3-0 teams maybe not be the same. All 3-0 teams may not be the same. Watch out for some of these teams that have been playing some tough schedules early and maybe not gotten the results. And Madonna's the same way. I think Madonna's a very good team, and their record maybe not reflect that right now either. But they're certainly a team that is not going to want to, or people aren't going to want to be playing either. So.
Yeah, no doubt. And Loyola's got, I mean, if you look at their schedule, they may have one of the harder schedules in the country. I mean, top to bottom in, Masters and LSU Alexandria was a pretty close game. They got Mobile coming up. They got Xavier coming up. They got Florida Memorial coming up. But
yeah,
I think like 6 their first 8 or 6 their first 9 are against, the preseason top 25, but also just really good teams.
Yeah.
That's a team that I look to and say, yeah, 1-3 is a little. I think they're 1-3 now. It's a little
1-3, yeah.
disputing. Yeah, they won their first one, but then lost the last three.
Yep.
The two ranked and one receiving votes team, and so just a team that you want to kind of watch and say, they might have not the greatest record, but guess what? Their 1-3 is probably better than some people's 4-0.
Yep.
I promise you, so apples to apples, but just that was just another one that caught my eye. So
yeah, and that's a good call out. And I just, when you were talking about Loyola, I wanted to at least mention that, because I 100% agree. Those are some of those teams, and I randomly wanted to bring up to a Spartanburg Methodist team that they're a new NEI program that they're not randomly, but I know they lost again on Sunday to Life, who is a top 25 team, and a 96-100. I believe that's their fourth or fifth game now that they've lost by 4 points or less. They have lost, I know they lost their first 3 games by 3 points or less, and then they finally got their first win of the, first NEI official win, because they made the transition from junior college to NEI. They got their first win after losing their first 3 games by a total of 6 points. I think that's what it was, and because I think they lost by 2 points on all of them, and now they lost by 4 to a top 25 team. So it's just one of those where they've been knocking on the door almost in every single game. And so maybe a pioneer team out of Spartanburg Methodist to keep an eye on out in the Carolinas, because obviously played Life close on Sunday to a 4-point game as well. So team that I'm excited about, because I think they've been playing teams close, and just a team that they're kind of like players, that you don't know a lot about coming into the season, because they're a new team, and they're certainly caught my eye here early on, and I'm interested in watching them. I saw about a half of them early on, and I thought they were pretty decent, but now they've played enough teams close that now you start paying a little bit more attention to them, and they're going to start league play here coming up, so it's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I love the curveballs. I like when teams or players or whatever just kind of come out of nowhere, and that mixes up people's seasons, and it's no fun when it's all chalk and all predictable. I mean, that's kind of boring. So I like seeing some of the nuance of each season's a new chapter, and watching how people go. And as we start getting into next week, and getting get a few coaches on as well, and start getting some early season perspective from those folks, it'll be fun to start getting some insight into that.
Yep, that's why they play the games, right, Coach? Why would we play the games if the top team just won every game? So
I'd be really good at the March Madness bracket if it if it always went chalk. I'd be like, how is that even possible? These teams are gonna get upset, but they always do.
Yeah,
so.
But if you were, then everybody would have a perfect bracket, and there would be no fun.
No, be no fun.
But no, well, we like Coach said, we'll have coaches on next week for sure, and we will start going from about 30 minutes to. We'll try to push it out with a coach's interview to about 45 to an hour. So, but just wanted to kind of do one more week of recaps as we get going, and dive into leagues a little bit or dive into scores a little bit as we turn the page into almost half the country turning into conference play this week. I know Coach and I are excited. I think everybody else that watches these will be excited as well, because this is where a lot more things start happening across the country, as far as just, not that we haven't had great games, but these games seem to matter a little bit more, because you start getting the 1-0s in the conference play mean a little bit more maybe than the 1-0s just in the overall standings. So wishing everybody the best of luck as they start playing this week, and next week we will, like I said, we'll have some coaches on, and we'll start talking some more conference play. Until next week, this is Coach Lubbers Jr. signing off.